What's up, everybody? It is Monday, July 22nd. We've got to talk about these charts because we have some incredible signals flashing. There's a little bit of a call for some chop here that is going to wreck you if you are not prepared. We're going to be getting into this so much and more here in just a few minutes. I got a special guest that's popping in today as well that's going to happen roughly about 30 minutes in, but we got some things to talk about. We got some charts to break down. We got some signals to look at. Are you bullish on today? Are you bearish? It is a big week for crypto. We're about to get into it. Everybody hit the like button. Drop a 1 in chat if you can hear me. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. We have to talk about what is happening right here in these charts because we're seeing price action at that bottom down here at about 53, and it's just been stair-stepping its way to the top, coming up near this $70,400 zone, which is a key level. But as it stands right now, I mean, I could not be more bullish. I mean, let's be honest. Everything that we saw this weekend was ridiculous in terms of how this news cycle is going with what's going on politically, how that may have repercussions within broader markets, within interest rates, within the economy, and most importantly, what we all care about here, those crypto charts and what's happening here. So before we dive in here, I just want to shout out everybody that is here, tuned in. My name's Kelly Kellum. Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. If you haven't yet, look down below this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. We got some signals we got to cover because we're seeing some really incredible things happening in the charts. We're seeing some really incredible things happen within this crypto market. So let's go ahead and dive in and look at what's going on. We got the total market cap up here about over $2.4 trillion. It's up about 100 billion in the last 2 weeks or so. Kingston Crow says, I'm on time for the full live today. Let's go. Shout out to Kelly, day in and day out. Hey, shout out to you. Shout out to each and every one of you that's in here on the streams day in and day out. But let's jump in. Let's talk about what's going on here because in the last week, we got Bitcoin up almost 6%. We got Ethereum up about 2.4%. Remember, this week is a pivotal week in basically this, I don't want to say starting line, but the next phase in the Ethereum ecosystem being that institutions can now participate once those Ethereum spot ETF go live. Then we have BNB up about 3%. Solana, I made a move into Solana about a week and a half ago, and look at this. It's up almost 17%. XRP also following shortly behind it with about a 15% move. Cardano not doing much. Avalanche up 17%. Link up a little, about 1.5%. Near up 10%. A lot of these tokens that we've been talking about here, we see, look at this, Solana. Since we got in not that long ago, was it about a week and a half ago, it's up almost 20%. Avalanche, we're coming back to about that buy point that we got in on many months ago, but we're seeing, look at this, up 16%. Near Protocol, we're up almost 90% on Near Protocol. Stacks still down a little bit, but we did add some to this position and lower our average entry, but we're seeing some wonderful things happen in this market, and we got to talk about what's happening because I got some incredible signals, and more importantly, I've got a great guest, one of my favorite people in the space that's going to be hopping on here in just a second. And first off, let's go through some of y'all's comments. Let's go through some of the things you guys are talking about. Crypto Bad Fox says, let's go. And we've got, Silver Days says, hit the likes. Kingston Crows says, shout out to Kelly day in and day out. No, I'm going to shout all of you. I'm here for you guys. We are here together. I just happen to have the platform to share my thoughts, share my experience, and make sure that you guys get the meaningful tools, resources, content, and community so we can actually make our portfolios look like this, straight fire, because that's what this is about. So shout out to everybody that is here. Shout out to everybody that's here on a daily basis. We got some great stuff we're going to be covering today. So let's go ahead and dive into those bits and pieces. And then we're going to dive into these charts with one of my favorite analysts here in the space. So first things first, we had a major development this weekend with Biden dropping out of the race. I know we want to talk about crypto, right? But this is a direct impact onto what's going to happen in this election cycle, and as how that can basically carry over into what type of decisions are made from the executive level. The people that are steering the ship, supposedly. And there's going to be a lot of debate back and forth about the legitimacy of Biden dropping out, if it was real, if it was a silent coup. We got to play the cards as they're dealt. And, basically like Sack Nasty says, ready for takeoff, win, moon, landing. Well, let's go ahead and look at what we're talking about today, because Kamala Harris was in some regards endorsed by President Biden, but they also have to go through that national convention or whatever to basically nominate all this stuff. But we can see right here from Eleanor Terra, it says Crypto Trading Association Digital Chamber has penned a letter to VP Harris urging her to take a forward-looking approach to digital assets. The letter calls on her to include pro-crypto language. So we're going to have to track this as this moves along, and depending on who the actual nominee that's going to end up on the ballot, we're going to have to see if there's an adjustment to that left stance that's been so against crypto, so against transparency, so against freedom of you holding money that you own. So we're going to have to just track this as it goes. Now we just saw this morning that China just made a surprise interest rate cut by 0.25% to stimulate economic growth. And this is important because of this chart right here. We've been talking about this for some time, about basically that global liquidity. If we come back over here, let me go to Bitcoin strategy platform. Let's go to dashboard here. And just remember, if you guys don't remember this, I don't know what you've been doing. I've been talking about this shift, essentially when the gas is getting put into that car for the bulls to ride, basically fuel the engine to drive up this mountain. When this, basically rolls over, we saw this little hiccup right here. Was it crypto related, or was it also a global liquidity issue of uncertainty? Yes. And then when it kicked back on, boom, up. And then look at this, the FTX collapse. What happened immediately following the FTX collapse? The global liquidity kicked back on, front running this large, basically kickoff of the bull trend to the upside. And what are we seeing right now? Again, we've had this, this is essentially right at the same moment that the Bitcoin prices in crypto markets really were exploding higher. We also saw what? Global liquidity. So some people want to say it's the halving, which are these lines. But we can also see it's probably a combination of the context of the broader global markets in conjunction with the halvings. We just had the halving. What have we seen after each halving? Well, we had this little bit of a sell-off, basically reduction in global liquidity, and then this massive spike here that really started this large kickoff. Well, what are we seeing right now? Well, right now we see that global liquidity is ticked up. If we come back over to this chart, boom, global liquidity ticking up. This is the fuel for the bulls that we want to look for if we're expecting higher prices. And I could not be more excited because there's so many things going on right now, especially with the Bitcoin conference this week. Are any of you just let me know. I don't have to tell you what to throw. Let me know in the live chat right there, and also in the comments down below. Are you planning to head over to Nashville for Bitcoin conference, Bitcoin Nashville 2024? We will, our whole crew, Hit Network, will be there. I'm very proud they had us on the top line as the media partners for the Bitcoin conference. So we're really looking forward to doing a lot of content. I know Kevin Svenson is going to be out there with me, Matthew Highland, On-Chain College, Scott Melker, Natalie Brunel, Mark Moss. There's so many different people that we're going to be coordinating with, doing content with, talking with. Some of it will be stuff that is shared on the stream. Some of it's just going to be, networking and discussing markets and growing together so that we can all bring you the best content possible. So let me know if you're going to be heading over to the Bitcoin conference. Now, we see that the global liquidity is on the same schedule. I mean, this looks very basic, right? But look at the red line. This is essentially how it's actually flowed. It's very, very on point with where we're at. And we saw about 2 weeks ago, I shared the data showing the second half of the year consistently is when the People's Bank of China ticks on all of that data, that ticks on that, basically ticks on the global liquidity, as we can see right here, pumping up. This is what we want to see when we're considering what's going to happen with price. Yes, the signals are bullish. The sentiment is underlyingly, the foundation of what's going to come is overwhelmingly bullish. Everybody right now, if you do get wrecked right now, it's because you're basically acting emotionally versus acting with data. I do want to shout out our channel partners, CoinW. Shout out, really appreciate the partnership. They have, my favorite exchange out there. But we're going to be doing these live trading sessions that are free to join. Basically, it's going to be trading and training at the same time, breaking down how to read the charts, breaking down how to basically identify trading patterns and take them and look for confirmations and risk management. And we're going to be doing it live. And the only thing you need to do to participate in that is click that link that you see in the top, pinned in the live chat, sign up there and deposit a minimum of $100. And you will basically get free access to that. I just posted it in the live chat as well. It's also down below, and that is essentially right here. And now we're going to dive into some data. If you come right here, make sure it says subscribed, make sure this little all is on so you get those notifications. And then right here, up to $30,500 in bonuses. Join with us right there. It's okay if you have other exchanges. It's good to have multiple accounts on multiple exchanges so you can protect your capital. Now, make sure when we're looking at all this, we also understand there's broader context going on too politically, looking at Gary Gensler basically likely stepping down. I think this would be ultimately, this would clear up a lot of the misguided confusion that the SEC is supposed to be shepherding protection for retail, but all they've done is sown doubt. And I mean, they're doing so poorly. They have done so poorly that they got slapped with I think it was like $1.8 million fine for basically bringing misleading, basically the criminal cases, regulating by enforcement rather than by actually creating rules that people understand. But when we dive into what's going on, let's look at the markets. Let's look at the signals. What does everything say? Hit the like. Grandma, says Andy D. Shout out to you. Crypto Man Sam says, Popcat hit $1. Well, maybe we'll look at some Popcat today. While we're about to go into some stories right here, I want each and every one of you to drop 2 altcoins that you are most excited about this bull market. Drop it in the live chat. Comment down below if you're watching later. Now, looking at here, this is what I want to talk about. I shared this chart. This is actually an on-chain metric that I created about 2 years ago, maybe a little longer, and I kind of just hadn't opened it up quite some time. Essentially, I turned off all of these additional bands here. These bands, all of them, are fib extensions of the realized price. Because if realized price is such an important metric in the Bitcoin market, and when we're looking at these charts, looking at the price action, and we regularly are in here drawing fibs saying, hey, is this going to come down to the 0.618, the 0.382, the 786, the 936? There's so many different fibs. I thought, creatively, I was like, I didn't know if it was going to work or not, but why not do some fib extensions of the realized price? And looking at this, I turned off the 2 most important right now, which is the bull floor and the bull control band. And what I saw is that we got back here, 2016 into 2017, we got a rejection, broke down, retested the floor band right in here, and also the short-term holder realized price. Price action pushed up, very strong, rejected again, consolidated, and then up. So basically rejection, consolidation, up. And then what we see last cycle, rejection at the bull control band. Under it, you're not in full bull yet. Rejection, came back down. We had a bit of a washout here, but then once we found support on the short-term holder realized price, look, we did break above it this time, but we consolidated at the previous all-time highs. So rejection, consolidation. We had consolidation before and after. And then again, we got a rejection a little bit below it. We've been consolidating right at it. Is up next. If you want to understand what this chart is, you can head over to looknode.com, and look for the TFOS. But this is I basically break down, you can screenshot this as well if you want, talking about what these data points are. Now, looking at that liquidity, here's another view that we have to be aware of. Dat6 says Ondo and Caspa are two of the ones that he's most excited about, or he or she. I'm very excited about Ondo as well. I think it's going to absolutely melt people's faces. People do not understand how bullish the RWA market is, especially when you're considering TradFi coming in. And then, of course, we have Caspa, which don't sleep on Caspa, whether you like it or not, because big old Bitcoin miners are also starting to add Caspa mining to what they're essentially to their revenue streams. Now, looking at this liquidity cycle, this is another way to look at what we looked at before when we were looking at this global liquidity ticking up preceding large moves. So when we see this, where did it go? When we see this, we can see the white line is the global liquidity. These little green things are the reversals, reversal, reversal, reversal. Now look at the orange line. The orange line is the price. So look, reversal, liquidity ticks up, takes a second, then launch. Reversal, took a second, then launch. Reversal, took a almost, it was like a month and a half. This was the FTX collapse was the beginning of November. Then we had about a month sideways, and then price action, boom, up. Now we had a little consolidation, liquidity tick back on, up. We're just now getting that signal again. Are you not bullish enough? Everybody, I'm feeling so excited about what's coming. We're about to be getting into some really good charts. And remember, we got a special guest popping on here in just a few moments. But looking at what's going on here, the market is getting excited. Remember to watch the data, not just the Bitcoin price. Excited to meet. I'll be meeting with On-Chain College there at the Bitcoin conference. And I'm going to try and twist his arm to do some content while we're there as well. But looking at this, what we're seeing is short-term hold or realized price. This is a red line that I've been talking about for 2.5 years. Funny you said that, Kelly. I actually want to start mining, and I'm thinking about mining Caspa. I need some guidance. So, hey, I'm going to plug you in. Connect with Nick Diamandi. He does so much different crypto mining. He's super solid. And I'm actually going to be adding some how to mine content in the BitLab Academy. But looking at the short-term hold to realized price, we have this expanded band, short-term profit band. And look at this. This is very similar to that bull control band, a different metric, but similar in some regards. This is suggesting where it's at right now. And we can see, even if we went straight up from here, this is suggesting about $130,000 Bitcoin. And I want you to notice that's if we went straight up from here. If you notice right here, when this goes flat, as the price pushes up and the short-term hold to realized price pushes up very significantly as well, we also see an expansion in the short-term profit band moving up as well. So this is in some ways, I'm not saying this exactly, in some case, this is suggesting that this is kind of a minimum top that we'll get. If the price action starts pushing up precipitously, then this too will likely start angling up as well. So I am so bullish on this. And I got two more things I wanted to share with you. And just a reminder, everybody, I took this breakout trade yesterday. I moved my stop loss into profit immediately. So no matter what would happen, I would be in profit. And I took profits on this. Actually, I didn't take profits. I had my stop loss moved up and I got closed out in profit. And this is in CoinW. I have a bunch of training content on this as well to teach you exactly how to utilize this. Make sure you utilize that link that's in I'm posting it again in the live chat. Sign up there, deposit $100. You get up to $30,500 in bonuses, and you get access to the live trading and training sessions that we'll be doing. That's the only way to get access to it is to sign up through that link. Now, a couple more things that we're going to be diving in with a special guest. Corrections. Bitcoin corrections. Everybody gets scared in these corrections. And as the guest is about to tell you when he comes on, corrections are the bread and butter of what makes you, if you're trading this market or looking for good opportunity, when everybody else is fearful, understanding this data, this is how you dominate the market. By strategically investing during these drawdowns when everybody's scared and leveraging techniques like DCA, dollar cost averaging, investors can potentially enhance their returns while managing risks. If we look at this chart, see this drawdown when it gets down into the red, great opportunity. See, down into the red, great opportunity. Down into the red, great opportunity. And if it's like, oh man, I bought here, it went up, you're excited, then it drops again, you don't get upset here. you look at where we're at in the market cycle and we say, okay, coming over here to the BLX, looking at the daily, okay, oh man, I got in here, it went up, I got excited. Then the market fell again. Why did I get in here? No, you don't think that once you've been in this market a while. You say, oh, I get another opportunity. And that's exactly what's happening. So I got a very special, one of my favorite people in the space, actually, guest here. And I'm just adding his permissions really quick. I'm going to throw it straight over to the main man, my favorite guy in town, Mr. Kevin Svenson. How you doing?
What is up, guys? Hold on. We got the sound. We're good?
You're all good, man. Looking good, sounding good.
Kelly? How's it going, man?
Are you excited about Bitcoin conference this week?
Oh, it's going to be wild. I've never been to Nashville, and I mean, we're sitting pretty close to the all-time high. A lot of good things going for Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin conference is probably going to be outrageously awesome. So yeah, I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. For anybody that doesn't know who this wonderful gentleman is, his name's Kevin Svenson. He was one of the first people I would watch on crypto YouTube many years ago because, Kevin, you were in probably about the same time I was. There were several years where we were just lunatics to everybody we knew. I stopped telling people I was getting into crypto. So once the crypto YouTube stuff started coming out, there was quite a number of people that sucked and some people that were great. I've been following you for a long time. I learned a lot of my TA strategies from you. So with that being said, everybody, make sure you listen to this gentleman because he's got one of the most balanced viewpoints in the market. So, hey man, what are you seeing? Should we be watching for a huge pullback? That. Is it over?
I mean,
Is it going to the moon?
I've been a little bit kind of biased because, well, one, I'm a Bitcoiner, right? I believe in the future of Bitcoin, and I have been bullish really since the start of 2023. I haven't changed my views all too much because I'm really just looking at the macro. And like Kelly was just saying, every time the market dips, people waste so much time and energy just, entertaining their worst fears. And one gauge that I always look at, to sort of gauge my confidence or, how much fear should I really have at this, during any given dip, you look at the stock market because the stock market is a pretty good signal or just indicator for what direction your bias should be in the overall picture. And that's always been the case, really. There's, of course, some anomalies where here and there you're going to see the stock market diverge or Bitcoin diverge away for a few weeks or maybe even a month. But ultimately, they are directionally correlated. At least they have been on the larger time scales. And so that'll help you sort of gauge what your bias should be.
Yeah, have you seen this chart from the Rational Root? This basically exemplifies exactly what you're saying. And you said something beautiful in one of the podcasts or Twitter spaces we did almost a year and a half ago. Everybody wants to call the correlation either exact or broken the second there's any divergence. And you made the perfect point about it's more about the certainty and uncertainty, and that correlated with the directionality of these markets, not one-for-one moves. And we have seen this massive bullish divergence, you could call it in some ways, on this correlation, and now seeing Bitcoin push up. So what's your thoughts right now about what's happening with this correlation in the market? Is there uncertainty
that's a good
by all the
image
Biden
there.
stuff?
So I mean, the correlation, it's always has been directionally correlated with the S&P, like Bitcoin, right? Though, of course, there's going to be moments where, like, if you look at 2021, where we had that 65,000 Bitcoin dumps with the China FUD or whatever, you see that sort of anomaly on the left side of the chart right there. That area, of course, there's going to be moments like that. But yes, it is always following. And every time there's the day where the stock market's down and Bitcoin's up, people jump to that conclusion of, oh, it's decoupled forever now. It's like, wait, hold on. It's been one day or 1 week or even a whole month. And in order to sort of call a decoupling, a real one, that it's decoupled as in like forever, it takes years and years of data. And actually what it requires is a completely different perspective. The market participants have to change the way that they're looking and treating Bitcoin. The way they're looking at it and the way they're regarding it and the way that they're treating it and the way that they're trading and why are they investing in it. That's the thing that has to change for there to be a decoupling. It can't just happen magically, right? And so I think that BlackRock stepping in and Larry Fink recently saying things like Bitcoin has a role in portfolios, and Larry Fink thinks that Bitcoin is kind of like a bet on, I guess, against the traditional system, or sort of a bet against optimism. I'm not really sure why he said that exactly, but if the big money is treating it that way, then sure, maybe then you'll start to see decouplings take place with all the, they have all the money. They're the ones that will decide if there's a decoupling. And I think what he meant was the optimism surrounding like the traditional fiat currency system. It's a bet against the optimism of our system, right? Obviously, Bitcoin is very optimistic and people buy it, based on positive emotion and hype. But yeah.
No, I mean, I agree there. And I think, now with the discussion around Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, for those of you that don't know, the largest asset manager in the history of the world. It's interesting that they've moved so aggressively into Bitcoin, as a product that they're supporting and pushing, but also that comment that you just said that they made, it makes you wonder if there's something bigger at play in terms of if he does become the Treasury Secretary, if there's going to be some sort of subversive or passive or kind of adjacent sort of move towards utilizing USDT or USDC, because it's going to kind of, in some ways, obfuscate the money printing that we see with the Fed, because now they'll be able to do it with the stablecoins. But that's a whole different topic. You and I could have a whole conversation on that. But let's pull up your screen, man. I want to peek into what you're looking at on these markets. And,
I mean, this is kind of just an interesting post. I can't see what I was just looking at the stream, but I can't see it now that we've switched here. But so you just have to control the visual. This is something I posted yesterday that I thought was interesting for your audience right now. It's sort of for my followers. I posted 4 scenarios, and I guess this can be interactive for everyone that's watching this right now. First of all, smash the like button and subscribe to Kelly's channel if you haven't already. But these 4 scenarios, I think sort of encompass what's possible. And scenario 1 is, I think, the most popular. Oh, actually, no, scenario 3 just beat it. But scenario 1 and scenario 3 are tied. Scenario 1 being standard cycle, about 124,000, maybe as high as 142,000, but something along these lines where that's kind of the performance you would expect with the growing market cap of Bitcoin. This would be a standard cycle. And if you look at scenario 2, buzzkill, 100K is not reached, right? Kind of just like not great. Scenario 3 is global FOMO, where we hit a price of whoa. Right, I didn't even put the price there. I just wrote whoa, and then the market cap is like almost $4 trillion. And then scenario 4 is a meltdown, a failed cycle, a global crisis where it's so over is what I wrote. Just giving everybody and anyone who has a certain bias can pick from one of these scenarios. I think, right? I think it sort of covers any possible way that we go here. And in the chat right now, you guys can type in. I'm going to just go through them one more time. Scenario 1. Standard cycle. Scenario 2, buzzkill. Scenario 3, global FOMO. Scenario 4, meltdown. Which one do you guys think? Type in the chat. Let us know, and then maybe Kelly will read it out or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, but I want scenario 3 to play out, but we have to also understand that we're on that, my sort of thoughts on it. I have to sort of hedge with a conservative nature, because we talk about how exciting it is that we have institutions now participating. And if we get this announcement this week with Trump, potentially using or moving Bitcoin into basically a reserve for the US dollar, on the one hand, it's super bullish, but not all things are what they seem. If institutions are truly coming in, there's grounds to argue that there could be, I don't want to say suppression, but institutional games afoot that could change the market cycle dynamics. And do pension funds take profits if they're up 100%, or do they stack in and hold it? We don't know this yet.
Right. It's the behavior of Bitcoin will change as institutions And I guess you could say it's sort of its use case or it's the way it's being used. Like you just gave the example with Trump putting it as a reserve for the dollar. Like that will change the behavior of Bitcoin. A lot of people think that, these types of things, institutions getting in is just going to be, straight line up type thing. But what I remember Larry Fink saying at the end of one of his interviews that he's looking to close the spread on exchanges for Bitcoin. So he sees that there's like a market inefficiency. There's a huge spread in Bitcoin's price, the way it's being traded. He wants to close the spread by using, algorithms and high speed trading, AI, and closing that spread is going to make Bitcoin's price less volatile, more under control, harder to move, right? And so that is just the inevitability. They want to be more sure of what they're trading and what they're investing in. So they will likely tame the price of Bitcoin. But these use cases, right? Bitcoin being at this point, entering Wall Street, institutional involvement, it is going to ensure a level of long-term growth that we're going to get it. But it is going to change the behavior of Bitcoin, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would agree with that. So, there's so much talk right now going on around Bitcoin and everything coming. And I mean, in some ways, I'm feeling a little hesitant. I'm so bullish. It makes me my experience in the market has triggered me to realize how bullish I am that this is a perfect opportunity to also, shake things up a little bit and take advantage of that with, Trump and Vance being so pro Bitcoin, the discussion about Bitcoin as a reserve. Then we also have Elon Musk to just put laser eyes on. In addition to also being just landed in Tennessee, we have the Bitcoin conference this week. Is Tesla adding more? Is there a more pro Bitcoin stance publicly regarding Elon Musk there? In addition to the Ethereum spot ETFs that are coming out supposedly this week, and then in addition to all that, now this doesn't directly relate to crypto, but it does. Gary Gensler acknowledging that that he'll likely be stepping down if Biden doesn't get reelected. Well, that we obviously know that's not going to happen now. So what's your take on this week Bitcoin conference? We've tend to see some sort of local market tops around the Bitcoin conference. Are we going to see something like that again? Is this time different? And then I'd love to see your thoughts and some charts on Ethereum, considering that these ETH spot ETFs are likely going live this week.
Yeah, I think that this time is definitely going to be a little different. I don't think we're just going to see a local top because it's a conference. We've been consolidating here. It's not unless we hit a new, local top in the very short term. But I think that there's just so much demand for Bitcoin from so many different levels that, the trend that we've built this year is institutional demand, right? It is almost like a little bit of global FOMO after seeing these big names getting in. So I think that I'm not really even too concerned about the conference and the Bitcoin price. I don't think that the new players that are coming in are too concerned with the conference either. Like in the past cycles, when the market cap was much lower, yes, maybe that would have been the case where people were trading the conference. But no, I don't think anymore. It's not. It's actually going to be. We're going to be losing control of Bitcoin as a community a little bit. The price, like back in the day, you know how it was back then. The community could actually move the market, but now it's going to be more difficult over time. But so what am I seeing in the charts right now? There's a few different, some observations that I had recently here. Did you switch to the chart?
Yeah, I got you up.
Yeah, so we've just been playing out this very consistent pattern, and it looks like we may be in a continuation pattern, right? Because we just get these breakouts, impulse up, sideways, breakout, impulse up, sideways, breakout, impulse up, sideways. And it doesn't seem like this is stopping anytime soon. This is no different, really, than what we saw in March of 2023, just a long consolidation, kind of boring, really boring, actually. But we are now coming up back towards the highs. And I think third time's a charm here at this attempt of the resistance. If we get a breakout, we're likely going to get an impulse up, right? And on average, these impulses after the breakout zone, they're like 40, 50%, some of them 60%, 40 to 60%. If we break out, if it's going to be some sort of continuation, that would actually put us at 100,000, right? And I know a lot of people always get skeptical when they hear that, right? They hear that number, but remember, it is just a number. Yes, there is psychological resistance that you can find, all that, but it is just a number. And Bitcoin's going to hit it at some point, and we're getting close. I mean, once we break 74,000, we're gonna start getting really close to 100,000 really quickly. It's really not that far away. I think a lot of people tend to forget just how volatile Bitcoin can be and how unpredictable it is. Usually, the market's not doing what you expect, and I think that this next impulse is going to get us close to 100,000, most likely, or above it, right? And we've had another one of these repeat. And I was just showing you this because I'm sort of seeing continuation is likely, right? We're seeing the same behavior, likely going to get continuation to the upside. And this chart, which is just mapping out the MACD and the false breakdowns, we're in a very, very similar position as the same long consolidation from 2023. We break the trend line, the MACD crosses down, and then we start to build back up and out. Bears lose momentum, and we create a new uptrend. Right now, we have the same setup. We've just bounced back. MACD is showing that the bearish momentum is waning, and the bulls are likely going to start regaining control after this breakout. If it does come, I think it's likely going to happen fairly soon, the next week or two, maybe 3 weeks, and then looking for a cross up, right? And the last time we had a cross up, I mean, the price did really well, right? When we get these cross ups, we usually get some major moves. So the MACD has a lot of room to move up to the neutral zone and then continue to push after a cross up. And that, after a breakout, that would put us close to 100,000, right? I mean, I don't see why not. We're actually a lot closer than people think. Again, the number is just an intimidating number, but it is just a number, regardless of the psychological aspect of it all.
So then the price pushes up to $100,000, which is inevitable, whether it happens in 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, or 10 years, it's going to happen. It hits at the $100,000 and we don't ever expect to go below 90,000 again, right? Or what are you looking at in the chart?
I'm glad you brought that up because I was just showing the scenarios. Like I was just showing that post I made with the scenarios. Maybe some people that are just tuning in, I was showing just like every possible scenario. Standard cycle was number one, buzzkill, global FOMO, meltdown, right? Just to get people to think a little bit about what to expect. And if we were going to see something in between a standard cycle and like a really good cycle, something like 124,000 is something that I would consider standard, and also anywhere below 142,000 as a very peak price, like a wick top is what I mean. I would consider that to be more standard price action for Bitcoin in these bull markets, right? And now you can see on the screen, I've depicted the expansion of the parabolic trend, which is the same type of trend that we saw in 2017. Also have some fib targets here we can look at. 2017, these short-term parabolas would break down, become larger, break down, become larger, and that's basically what I was showing right here. And so, like Kelly was just saying, people expect that if we break 100,000, we're never going to see 90,000 again. But actually, just like we've seen in most cycles, I mean, we usually go back almost to where we were at some point earlier in the cycle, right? If you just look.
I remember you shared a chart. I don't know if you have it handy, but I'm sure you could do it on the fly as well. But that potential path to $85,000 to $100,000, and then watching the RSI and how that interacts at that level. Because if we push to 100,000 and the strength is much lower, that's a good indication that we may be having that little reset back to 75 or 80, and then break through that 100 on the next round.
Right. And so this is just showing that it is very important to, take profits on what you're accumulating. Now, of course, you can always have a hodl bag. And if you're a true believer in Bitcoin, you should always have some Bitcoin just for the sake of the principle of it. And, just understanding that there is a possibility that the global financial system can see a big problem, like just based on the reckless fiscal behavior. And Bitcoin is there as a hedge against that. So you almost, there's always that crazy possible scenario where Bitcoin goes to an absurdly high price because of a major problem with fiat currency. So you always want to just own that own that hedge, always own some Bitcoin. But at the same time, looking at this chart, this is like no different than what we see in a lot of other cycles. I mean, just look at the last one right here. Bitcoin comes back to, let me remove these labels. Bitcoin comes back below 20,000. This is 15,000. So it's like a lot of people thought, oh, we'll never see 20,000 again. Well, we actually saw it even lower than that. And so here I'm just sort of giving you guys an idea of how volatile it can be. And make sure that if you set targets, you take at least some profits at those targets. I think it's important to set more than one target because you want to sort of prove a return. You're not just going to wait for one price because that's a total gamble, right? I would say set multiple targets on the way up and then take profits at all of them, right? Even if it's a little bit, 10%, 20%, have a systematic profit taking schedule. And then of course you can have a sort of forever hodl bag if you want to, if you are a true believer. But this is the chart that I think Kelly was talking about, I believe. I can't zoom in. But yeah, so 95,000, 142,000, 190,000 are sort of the targets that I have based on a reducing ratio. This is I posted the chart a long time ago, but there is a sort of a reducing ratio. I think, what is it, if I can remember correctly? Divide by 6, divide by 5, divide by 4, I think was like the actual reducing ratio. I used ChatGPT to find what the reducing ratio would be for the next top. And it brought me to 142,500 would be the more likely scenario, which is actually what I've depicted on this chart. So, I mean, something like this is possible. While it seems unbelievable, right? You look at this chart and you're like, there's no way it's going to be that good. Well, I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but every cycle so far has kind of blown people's minds so far for Bitcoin. And now we have the institution. So this doesn't really seem all too out of the question to me. 124,000 to 142,000 seems quite possible. And then of course you're going to see that classic, what is it? Usually we go down even more, 80% or so. But for the sake of it, I just drew the next support at the previous high. But again, this is all just speculation, but maybe it'll give you guys a better idea of sort of what I'm looking for in the macro.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think oops, that's the wrong screen. Where is mine? I can't, let's see, get to guess my screen. Here we go. Boom. What I was talking about, and I can delete these real quick. What I was talking about is if we look at the price action from where we're at right now, and this, say it rejects here, comes up, let's go. Yeah, we're on the daily. Comes back down and then works its way up to $100,000. We also need to pay attention to the RSI because if this has, obviously a much higher high here and the RSI kind of rounds out right here where we have a much lower low, bear div coming into that also could be a good indication that we do come back and test back into the mid 70s, low 80s or something like that. But this is all, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because we all, especially newer people in the market, they look at things going on and they just talk about what the targets can be. And they get excited to get to 100 and 150 or 200, whatever. It doesn't matter what the number is. They forget to say, what are the, like you just drew out those scenarios. What are the possibilities and how can I look to the data to suggest that one possibility might take place versus the other? So when we do see this higher high up there at the $95,000 to $110,000 range, what is going on with the other signals that we could pay attention to? The MACD, the RSI, money flow, for instance. So are you looking at those types of signals or what are you looking at to give you that edge?
So on the daily, this is a good point. So if you share my screen here on the daily chart, just going back to 2020 into 2021, this is a really interesting time zone, right? So COVID takes place. This is a daily chart. We're coming up. The new year is right here. Bitcoin's at 10,000 at this zone right here, and then runs all the way up to 42 right here, right? So the trend looks like it's just being like perfectly maintained up to that point. And the RSI initially, this initial zone, what was kind of like cool about that was that the overbought 70 was the support. It was just basically, we broke above it, and that's exactly where we were bouncing on the RSI. And so when you're bouncing off the 70 level on the RSI after, in an uptrend, that's usually a sign of just major momentum, right? That's just momentum trader paradise. You just long the RSI retesting 70, as long as you think that the momentum is still there, and then you can just sort of you trade every dip on the way up. And then that 70 level also becomes the resistance right here. See that? So it's support and then it's resistance. And then that resistance point gives us a slight pullback, right? And when we break the 70 level, that is that pullback right there. And then we bounce right off of 70 once again at this point. And then when we break 70,
what's interesting there too is even there where the RSI did reject at 70, the price action came down. And I just want to remind everybody, this isn't just overbought and oversold. That's not what RSI is. You're seeing, what's the word? Relative strength. And the RSI comes down on that pullback and it maintains above that 50% line, basically showing the dominant sensibility of the market. Even though there was a drawdown, the strength was still on the bullish half of this index.
Right. And so it's like, it's fun to map. Like once you actually see what's going on, you map it out a little bit. Like you draw your support there. You could put the support here at the 50 level, 50 being also obviously a key level for the RSI, that resistance. You can see how the interaction there is just so clean. And even here, we come back below it a little bit, but it's still basically a bounce off of the overbought zone. And then, there's that resistance again. It's the same. The behavior of the daily RSI is just so important to be looking at and considering at all times, because you look at this, you're getting the same type of signal just repeatedly all the way up this trend. And yes, there is bearish divergence. And oftentimes when you get that bearish divergence, the price does come down. But what are we doing? We're bouncing right around that 50 level, right? And that's showing at least some decent strength. So whenever the market is seeing a lot of hype, a lot of momentum, oftentimes there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of activity. So traders and bots are really utilizing these exact levels and these exact signals, and then the market's reacting to these precise areas because there's a lot of excitement and activity. And oftentimes, I'm not sure how to explain that exactly. I hope it makes sense, but these signals tend to become really accurate in those types of high volume or high trading high activity moments. Sorry.
Yeah.
But now here we have Bitcoin currently, and we are breaking the RSI currently a little bit. This one right here, the resistance slightly. And if Bitcoin does break out here, we are going to be seeing Bitcoin in the overbought zone. But then again, it's like what we just talked about. Is that 70 level going to act as support? That's something to look out for, because then that's going to tell you how much momentum we have. If we break above it and we just start bouncing off the 70 level, we could be doing that for quite some time. Then we break below it, maybe use the 50 level, some resistance here, right? That's the type of stuff I would be looking for. What interaction do we have with the key RSI zones on the daily? You can actually see it right here. This zone from March, we actually bounced right off of the 70 level right there. And that was actually telling you that we were going to continue up, which we did. That's kind of just a good example in recent history. We also bounced off of it here, fell below it slightly. But so I guess that kind of goes off what you were saying. Also, just now that it's on the screen, the fibs right now, I was just sort of mapping out where would we go if we repeated the same type of breakout. If you look back in the past here, that March to October sideways range, if we repeated that breakout, what fib target would we hit? Well, we have the same type of long consolidation here. And if we were to repeat that, we would be looking for possibly, this sounds crazy, right? But maybe 124,000. I'm not using log scale fibs right now. At least I don't think so. But oftentimes I don't for my own personal reasons. But 124,000, which seems kind of crazy. But that's just what it would be.
Well, then we gotta twist your arm. I know we got about about five to 10 minutes left here on this stream. What are you seeing? We got the Ethereum spot ETF should be launching this week. Should we expect a similar sort of sell the news thing like we saw January 11th for the next, it was like 12 days or something, sell off? Or do you think it might be buoyed by the positive momentum if Bitcoin continues back up? What are you looking at on those charts?
I think I was looking at the Ethereum chart yesterday. Oh yeah, what I came to the conclusion of, sort of my expectation, was nothing necessarily to do with the chart itself, but based on my experience and having observed this market, for many, many years, Ethereum is still kind of ways away from its resistance. Bitcoin is closer and I think has more momentum and is just, at the all-time high, and, there's a blue sky breakout potential. So Bitcoin still has the edge. I think like it'll probably see the most upside in the event of another breakout. While Bitcoin is doing that, it's quite possible that Ethereum punches up to its resistance and then settles up right at that resistance as Bitcoin's at a new all-time high. Ethereum isn't really going up all too much, but once Bitcoin settles up at a new all-time high, then Ethereum makes its run for it to its all-time high, which could happen literally in just, push up, consolidation, and then it'll make a run for the all-time high, which is not that far away. I don't think people understand how close that is as well, and how quickly Ethereum's price can get to a new all-time high if Bitcoin is also at a new all-time high. So I think that's what I'm expecting, and this might actually be something that initiates alt season, where Bitcoin's going up, Ethereum's settling up at the resistance, and then once Bitcoin sort of stops its move, goes a little bit sideways, Ethereum kicks off alt season. And then, alt season always takes place when Bitcoin is at its all-time high. In the last cycle, it took what? If I drop or I guess I should just pull up the Bitcoin chart, compare it here, and then put on log. You can see here, Bitcoin breaking its all-time high right here. Where is the TOTAL3, the altcoin market cap? It's sitting, let's just be accurate about this and put a vertical line. It's sitting down here right after it had a consolidation, just like we're having right now, but it's still right there, well below the all-time high. The altcoins are still way down, but Bitcoin's breaking its all-time high right on that green line. Altcoins are way down here. But once Bitcoin is trending above the all-time high, that's where the confidence comes in. That's where people get excited. That's where the money flow, that's where the interest in crypto starts to pick up. And alt season is simply an indicator for how much interest is there in crypto. Well, if there's a lot of interest, a lot of the coins go up. Alt season happens. And everything goes up all at the same time initially, right? So, yeah, I mean, even if Bitcoin breaks the all-time high soon, it can still be a few weeks or a couple months basically before altcoins actually get to their all-time high. And
I think I measured it. It's like 100. It's roughly 100 days after Bitcoin's move, the altcoin market buoys.
Yeah, and something to keep in mind is that this huge run for the altcoins right here, if you're looking back in time after Bitcoin breaks the all-time high, they kind of just shoot straight up. Now, of course, there was a lot of money printing going on back then, so we can't expect it to be exactly the same, but look at how quick that was. Most of the gains took place in just a few months. I mean, what is it? November or December, January, February, March, April. And that's the majority of your gains. If you weren't there for those few months, you missed pretty much everything. And so that is the importance of just being positioned at the, early, and just being willing to wait and just wait till it happens. And, a lot of people miss out on this move right here, and they come in a little late, like a lot of retail traders. And that's why they end up getting screwed. Right. So it's good to, be positioned early. I know it's been painful for the altcoins, but I think we're going to see a major move up quite soon as Bitcoin hits a new all-time high. And then a lot of the gains that you're going to get are going to happen early on. And then there's going to be a bunch of noise at the top that, smart money is distributing. So just keep that in mind. Most of your gains, you should be able to understand that if your portfolio is, going up 5, 10x or something, you've probably just made most of the money at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So be willing to take profits, right? Set targets, have multiple targets, and take some level of profit at every single target because you won't regret it in the end.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good reminder there. I think the most exciting time is ahead of us. And some people will argue what's going to happen this cycle because where's the money coming from? We see all the data showing banks or savings are at basically near all-time lows. Credit card debt is, defaults out the wazoo. We're seeing a little bit of stresses in the economy, but we've seen the economy be pretty persistent. And we also have to remember the Western world isn't the only thing that comprises a crypto market. We just saw the liquidity tick back up in China, and we have, reason to believe that there's likely going to be a pretty big move from the other half of the world, pretty significantly in the space, and the explosive adoption that is to come highlights the fact that there's going to be more people in the market, new people in the market coming in the next year than have ever been in the market. So while we might feel somewhat stifled by the lack of this liquidity we think is there, I do think there's, we have a global ultra wealthy. We have 44 million millionaires, 400,000 ultra wealthy, which is like 50 million and above, into the billions. And then we have billions of people that are going to start getting access to crypto. So although it might feel like, where's the money coming from? All these billions of people we see we're on pace with adoption like the internet. So that's where it's coming from. I'm excited about this market. I'm bullish.
I think there's something to also remember that, like in past cycles in 2017, the way that the market was going up was just literally because people were piling in large numbers, right? In 2017, retail. It was a lot of like retail. Now, here in this cycle, it's the institutional phase. So what does that mean? It means fewer people, much more money. They're smart, they are sophisticated traders and investors. And so when you're dealing with sophisticated traders and investors, they're not going to make it obvious to you what they're doing. So it might seem like, oh, things aren't, there's not enough volume or whatever. But they probably just aren't revealing. They don't want to make it obvious what they're doing or how they're going about it. So I think that it'll take people by surprise when things start going well. They're going to go like, "Whoa, there was no real sign that this was going to happen." Exactly, sophisticated money. That's how they operate. They're not going to give you a clue before they create a huge markup in the price. They don't want you to make the money.
So what do you think the over/under is this week? Trump actually announcing, because this is also, we have to realize everybody's talking about the potential. Remember, it is potential that he's going to announce that Bitcoin is a reserve asset. If that comment does not get made, does that create a temporary sort of
when did that I didn't even see that yet. Was that today? Was that a rumor or something?
Dennis Porter, let me see if I can find it. Dennis Porter is the one that initially made the claim. I'll pull it up right now. Dennis Porter. Let's see. Dennis Porter coming over to my screen here. He said, where is it at? And, Dennis Porter is very prominent in the crypto space, doing a lot of legislation, helping states pass laws.
Yeah, he's been doing really good work.
Where is it at? He said it several days ago. I might not be able to find it. Essentially, that there's closed door discussion that Trump's going to basically be announcing that Bitcoin is going to be used as a strategic. I've been taking calls with reporters nonstop for the last 24 hours about the Bitcoin strategic reserve. Even the mainstream media, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's wondering. So the point is, this has garnered enough awareness now that it could be, if he doesn't say something to that effect, I don't think it's going to crash the market, but it would take, I think, a temporary sort of temporary wind out of the sails.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not, but the thing is, I didn't see that. So it's like, how big of a rumor is it? Has everyone heard that? And if he doesn't say it, I don't think it'll be a big deal. I mean, you look at it this way. The fact that he's showing up to the Bitcoin conference is a good enough thing.
Huge breaking. Trump to announce USA Bitcoin strategic reserve in Nashville, sources. And this has 1.7 million views. So,
okay. I don't know how I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not going to. I don't think it's going to cause any significant crash. I mean, maybe some people, but the fact that Trump's just there, I think, is really the what'll cancel that out. And I mean, if Trump is really serious about starting to use Bitcoin as part of the reserve, that is truly like unbelievable, like best case scenario almost. Like the way that this has played out for crypto and Bitcoin is mind blowing. Like just years ago, 5 years ago, nobody thought we would be here. No, like we were just getting all this crap from regulators, and here we are. We got like the potential president talking about U.S. Bitcoin as a reserve, and Larry Fink of BlackRock, allowing his clients to get into it. I mean, it's just truly mind blowing.
Well, I was talking with TJ this morning about this, and I don't think there's a metric on this, so I might go and figure it out. But I was looking at the Bitcoin conference site, and if you go to speakers, I mean, this is the Bitcoin conference, right? The largest crypto conference, I think, in the world. Headliners: Donald Trump, Robert F. Kennedy, Kathy Wood, Michael Saylor, Russell Brand, Edward Snowden, Bill Miller. But then we come down here, and Vivek Ramaswamy, Senator Bill Hagerty, Senator Marsha Blackburn, Senator Cynthia Loomis, the chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald, Howard Lutnick. We got, I mean, the number of politicians that are getting involved with this, as well as major institutional players, is just, I mean, like you said, the fact that we're here, there's nothing to be bearish about right now unless you don't have patience. Because right now it's just a waiting game.
Think about all those people, all those names, all that money that they have or they're attached to or they're friends with. If Bitcoin dumps significantly, it's going to get bought by all those people. If it's not being bought by you, right? Like someone's going to buy it. So I think we're going to probably see a break of the all-time high pretty soon. I mean, that's not really a great sort of segue to that, but I don't see why not, right? We're at that stage in the cycle that we're with the market structure that we have, the halving happened, we're likely going to get a blue sky breakout.
Hey, you know what? I think that's where we wrap it because I'm super bullish. Everybody, I'll be seeing you in two days there, and we're staying at the same media house we got there, the Hit Network Media House. So everybody,
I can't wait. Awesome.
Dude, I can't wait either. I'm just going to show everybody. Make sure you go and give Kevin Svenson a follow right here at Kevin Svenson _. Again, if you see it on his face, right below his face right there, you should see it here in a second. Where's it at? I don't know where it went. It's somewhere. I don't know. Kevin Svenson _ I do want to say, everybody, make sure that you go and sign up for CoinW. Trade with us. We're going to be doing those live trading sessions. It's free. All you got to do is sign up, put $100 in. It's your account. It's not $100 for me. So you can trade with us. And of course, if you are participating in this market, shout out to this channel is powered by Arculus. GetArculus.com. Make sure you use the best crypto cold storage solution. One tap, swap, trade, store your crypto. Head over to GetArculus.com. Use code LAB10 for 10% off. But that's all I got today, everybody. We're going to be heading over now to DGen Alpha with Taco. So Kevin, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you go give him a follow. He's got an incredible YouTube channel as well. He puts out really great content. So that's all we got for today. Adios, muchachos.